everybody, Quadrajet Power here. Today we're going to bring you some information about how to identify a Quadrajet, how to look for what you're looking for a specific application. Quadrajets were introduced in 1965 and produced all the way through 1989. It's important to understand that every year, every make, model, engine had a unique Quadrajet for that combination. Hardly any two Quadrajets, I don't know if there's any two that are exactly alike. Calibrations are different. Some of them may look the same on the outside, but they were calibrated and tested to be specific for the application. So Quadrajets are application specific. That's the reason they don't swap around from engine to engine very well and get a bad reputation because of that. So we're going to show you today how to identify your Quadrajet if you have one, if you're looking for parts. I'm going to find where the code stamp location is and a little overview of the different types of Quadrajets that were produced through the years. So when we start early 65 to 67, some 68s, they had a ring that had it's an aluminum ring that was had a stamped code number on the ring itself. This particular one's a 702-7262. On these early ones like this, it had a 2-digit code for date on it. This one has A7, which would indicate January of 67. This carburetor is a divorce choke type. When you see a choke components like are on this particular one, we know that the choke element itself, the coil that activated with heat, was located on the intake manifold or inside the intake manifold and was connected to this choke with a rod. So it was separated. So that's why it's known as the divorce choke type carburetor. So the ring was found from 67, 68, 65, 66, starting mostly in 68 and up through 75. Well, actually through 89, you'll see the stamp is going to be on the main body above the secondary shaft. So you're going to see from 68, 69, it would say 702, and then 4 digits. Starting in 1970, it'd start with 704. And it started with 704 up until 1975. So this particular one, 704-2207, that 2 after the 4, so 7042, indicates that this was for a 72 production vehicle. The next to last digit, the 0 in this case, would indicate what make is. So that's what that digit was used for. 012 is typically Chevrolet, 3 Cadillac, 4 Buick, 5 Oldsmobile, 6, 7 was typically Pontiac. There's exceptions to this, of course. So this one is also divorce choke carburetor. It's got a whole different than the other, but this is the choke was mounted on the intake manifold and connected to the carburetor with a rod. This is the fast idle cam that adjusts the idle speed. You had different types of inlets. Some had a side inlet, some had a straight inlet. Typically, the side inlets were Chevrolet, Cadillac. Front inlets were Buick, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac. But as with everything with the Quadrajet, there's always exceptions to that. So going on a little further, I said starting in 1976, started with the 1705 designation in the front. This particular one, it's a little bit hard to read on that. It's 1705-6226. That indicates that it is a 76. The 2 indicates it's a Chevrolet. The others would indicate the model and type. This particular carburetor is a hot air design, hot air choke. On the hot air chokes, the element was mounted on the carburetor. It was connected to a air source for hot air to feed it, and then the choke would be actuated based on that hot air source feeding to it, and then it would work the choke from there. You'll also see in these, in the design from 76 to newer, most of the 76 to newer had a different design to them. They had an internal, Rochester called it the modified. So you see the M4 as compared to the 4 MV, MC. Had an internal APT, adjustable part throttle. The design was just a little bit different on these. These are a great design for tunability. You can really fine tune an engine. Any Quadrajet can be built for any engine application. Anything from stock to 600 plus horsepower. So finally we go to, this one is a 1978, or I'm sorry, starting in 1980. We see the designation starting as 1708 and then the 4-digit following. This one's a 1708-1206. So this is 81, 1708, designating that it's 80 or later, the 1 being the year, so it's an 81. This one has a electric choke element, and yeah, these are just off the shelf. We have a few thousand Quadrajets here, so I just pulled a few for an example. The electric choke element gives the ability to connect a 12-volt power source, or if it was factory electric choke, it would have had a 12-volt power source to go to it. It would be a key-on power source, so when the key's turned on, it would produce power to the choke element, it would heat the choke element, and it would operate the choke for the carburetor. If you have questions, check us out at quadrajetpower.com. That 7 or 8 digit Quadrajet code can be entered in our search bar. You can find a replacement carburetor. You can find parts, kits, whatever you need. We do restoration services. We can provide everything you need for your Quadrajet. Check us out at quadrajetpower.com. You can email us at info@quadrajetpower.com. Thank you.